Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Dianella and today we'll be discussing Nelson Mandela. This is the island, here you will die. These were the words that officially welcomed Nelson Mandela to the beginning of his 27-year stay in prison, 18 of which were spent in this cell inside South Africa's most infamous prison on Robben Island, according to the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Indeed, few leaders in modern history have faced a path as long, controversial, and difficult as that traveled by one of the 20th century's greatest peacemakers. Born in a small village in Meso, South Africa, Nelson Mandela was born into a country where discrimination, segregation by the country's ruling minority white population was the norm, and after 1948 has officially become institutionalized and enforced by the law. This system, better known as apartheid, effectively made South Africa's black population second-class citizens in a country where they formed the clear majority. It was an injustice that made Mandela dedicate his life to successfully correcting upon his release from prison in 1990 and his election to presidency in 1994, according to the Nelson Mandela Foundation. Whether it was a young man joining Africa's National Congress in 1942, a leader in protests, and even a sabotage campaign in the 1950s and 60s, or as president, nothing about Mandela's life was certain. His charisma, his intellect, and his ability to communicate blazed his own pathway to liberate his country. Hackman and Johnson 2013 say charisma provides vision and inspires to build trust and respect. According to Levy 2014, there was nothing invaluable or imminent about Mandela's life and his action. What set Mandela apart is how effectively he was able to peacefully dismantle a system of oppression that was ingrained in South Africa society and had been enforced violently much of its existence. In his anti-apartheid crusaders, he became a symbol for South Africa's disenfranchised to look up to. He was intelligent, exceptionally well-spoken, and lived by example. He inspired generations of devotees to never give up the fight he cleared his vision for. And they never did. He inspired generations to look for his famous vision. A vision he outlined in his famous speech, "I am prepared to die" speech. In it, Mandela said, "I have fought against white domination. I have fought against black domination. I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony with equal opportunity. It's an ideal which I hope to live for and to achieve. But if needs are, it's an ideal which I am prepared to die for," according to the Nelson Mandela Foundation. And when he presented with the opportunity to live up to this ideal upon his release from prison in 1990, Mandela delivered. He forgave the very government that had imprisoned him for 27 years and worked tirelessly to negotiate the end of apartheid. In 1991, in South Africa, President F.W. de Klerk, when Mandela himself ascended to presidency in 1994, he held a true legitimate power in his hands. In front of him was a country beset by racial tension and turmoil. He used his power as president and a virtuous leader to drive a program of national reconciliation between the nation's race, in part of appealing to the higher values and ideals, making it clear that forgiveness and understanding were the keys to a better South Africa. According to Hackman and Johnson 2013, Mandela had legitimate power because it resides in the position rather than in the person. And his message of reconciliation and equality were not just race-related, but gender-related as well. Mandela recognized that true equality in South Africa was not possible without fighting against gender inequality, and he was a consistent advocate for even going so far as making 1/3 of his cabinet women. Kelly 2013 says that at the opening of the first parliament in 1994, President Mandela declared, "Freedom cannot be achieved unless women have been emancipated from all forms of oppression. Our endeavors must be about liberation of women, the emancipation of man, and the liberty of child." He tried to help his country to gender equalism, and Hackman and Johnson say it is the degree to which organizations and societies minimize gender roles while promoting gender equality. Ultimately, Mandela is the embodiment of transformational leadership style. As Hackman and Johnson 2013 says, he motivated his devotees to be exceptional. He spent his life working with others to bring the change he knew he could be accomplished when everyone was united and working towards a common vision. Sanford 2000 says, his spirit of unity and forgiveness and message of equality helped peacefully resolve what could have been otherwise turned into a large-scale violent clash to an apartheid. Instead, it was ended with a cooperation of systems that he had opposed. Mandela virtually his entire life. It's what made him a peacemaker. It's what made him one of the world's greatest leaders. Thank you very much for coming, everyone.